What's up, everybody, and welcome to another Foundation set review. This time we are covering the direct to constructed slash standard cards. We've already covered all of the play booster cards, so the ones that you'll be using in your limited formats, so draft and sealed formats. And when it comes to this Foundation set review 2.0, we've already covered white, black, blue, red, and green. Now we are on to multicolored. So let's go ahead and take a look at multicolor. The way we're going to do this is we're going to look at them in increasing CMC cost and increasing rarity. Multicolor gets a little weird so as far as like how they organize that, but all that to be said, we're going to make our way through all of these multicolor cards, and we're going to talk about whether or not we're going to see them in standard, or at least I think I might see them in standard. I have no clue. I'm figuring it out as I go along. I'm comparing it to what I see, and I mostly see top decks. I mostly see the top constructed decks, the ones that are played frequently in Arena, as well as ones that are played in paper. I do a lot of study because we've just switched over to the standard RCQ season. So that's where I'm basing this experience on. I missed some here and there. If you see some and you're in the live chat, let me know. But if I make a comment on one in this video, feel free to leave a comment below and let me know otherwise. But the first up that we have is our white-blue representative. It's Cloud Blazer. 3 colorless, 1 white, 1 blue. It's a creature human scout 2/2. It's flying. When this creature enters, you gain 2 life and draw 2 cards. I don't think we're going to see it in standard. It's a fun card, though. Next up is Drogskull Reaver. It's a 5 colorless, 1 white, 1 blue, and this is going to be at the rare rarity. It's a 3/5 creature spirit with flying and double strike and lifelink. Whenever you gain life, draw a card. This could be a fun one for me to pitch into my Indomitable Rex commander deck, but I don't think we're going to see it in standard. It's just too expensive. Garna Bloodfist of Keld is 1 colorless, 1 black, 2 red. It's a legendary creature, human berserker. It's a 4/3. Whenever another creature you control dies, draw a card. If it was attacking, otherwise, Garna deals 1 damage to each opponent. This is fun. I don't know if we're going to see this in like a Rakdos deck or anything like that, but it's a fun card. You might put it in your Rakdos commander deck. Immersturm Predator is a 2 colorless, 1 black, 1 red at rare. It is a creature vampire dragon. Okay. That's terrifying. I didn't know we could have vampire dragons. And like, aren't dragons just like innately vampires? Aren't any like carnivorous large creature just innately vampiric? Because they like live off of, well, they technically live off meat, but that meat is soaked in blood and usually bone and other creature, right? So like, what is the functional difference between a large carnivorous animal and a vampire, other than maybe like exposure to the sun, weakness, and garlic? I mean, a stake through the heart is going to kill anything. Really? I don't know. Let's make the most terrifying creature in the world even more terrifying and make it a vampire, is what just happened here. But it is a flying 3/3. Whenever this creature becomes tapped, exile up to 1 target card from a graveyard and put a 1/1 counter on this creature. Sacrifice another creature. This creature gains indestructible until end of turn. Tap it. This is actually a really fun card. I could see this being a commander. Which is really fun because it's both a vampire and a dragon. So you could make a vampire dragon commander Rakdos deck. That would be intense. I don't think we're going to see standard play out of this, but it is a lot of fun. Maybe in a Rakdos sacrifice deck. There are Rakdos sacrifice decks going around. I don't know if any of them have made it really high push into standard, but they're definitely floating around Arena. Next up is Savage Ventmaw. It's 4 colorless, 1 red, 1 green creature dragon. It's a 4/4 flying. Whenever this creature attacks, add 3 red and 3 green until end of turn. You don't lose this mana as phases end. Nice. Steps and phases. But it is until end of turn. So it goes through the steps and phases, but you do lose it at end of turn. This is a great commander card. Give you that ramp. It's pretty sweet, but I don't see this making its way into standard. Next up is Halana and Elena, partners. It is a 2 colorless, 1 red, 1 green legendary creature human rager. It's 2/3, has first strike, reach, and at the beginning of combat on your turn, put X/1/1 counters on another target creature you control, where X is Helena and Elena's power. That creature gains haste until end of turn. I had to sneeze. I think this is already being played in standard, so I would imagine that this would continue being played in standard. I don't think this is making any like top decks for at all. It definitely makes its way into Commander, but yeah, we might see it here and there in like B or C tier decks. All right, let's carry on and stop sneezing, hopefully. Dryad Militant. You can pay white or green, and it's a creature Dryad Soldier for 2/1. And if an instant or sorcery card would be put into a graveyard from anywhere, exile it instead. Very interesting. Good counter card, but I don't think we're going to see it in standard play. Next up is Unflinching Courage. 1 colorless, 1 green, 1 white is an enchantment aura. Enchant creature gets +2/+2 and has trample and lifelink. Now there is an enchantment deck that's out there that's pretty competitive, but I think it's not in these colors, so it might struggle. Next up is Wilt Leaf Liege. You can pay 1 colorless and 3 either green or whites. And it's a creature elf knight, and it's a 4/4. Other green creatures you control get +1/+1. Other white creatures you control get +1/+1. If a spell or ability you put in control causes you to discard a card, put it onto the battlefield instead of putting it into your graveyard. So this might work well for elves. So you might see some play if somebody makes a really fun elf deck. Next up is Mortify. We'll definitely see this one in any Orzhov deck. This is pretty solid. 1 colorless, 1 white, 1 black. Destroy target creature or enchantment. It's really solid. Ailey, Eternal Pilgrim, is 1 white, 1 black, legendary creature. It's a core cleric, death touch 2/3. You can pay 1, sacrifice another creature. You gain life equal to the sacrificed creature's toughness. Or you can pay 1 colorless, 1 white, 1 black, sacrifice another creature, exile target non-land permanent, activate only if you have at least 10 or more life than your starting life total. Really fun commander card. Like it could even be a commander. I don't know if you're going to see it in standard because you're not really ever going to see the use of that second ability. So it really just becomes a 2 CMC death touch 2/3 with maybe the ability to sack something and get a little bit of extra health. So I doubt we're going to see it in standard. Next up is Teach by Example. So it's 2 blue and or reds. And it's an instant. And when you next cast an instant or sorcery spell this turn, copy that spell. You may choose new targets for this. So I think there is a lot of opportunity with Foundations to do some really interesting is-it things. Not necessarily like is it Phoenix level is it things, but there's some really interesting like spell recursion things that are going on. I mean, we could even potentially see like an is it burn deck, which would be interesting. So if you did this and like cast this, when you next cast an instant or sorcery spell, copy that spell, you may choose new targets. So like I could cast a kicked. That'd be interesting. I wonder if I could cast a kicked, what is it? Burst Lightning. So pay 5 or pay 2 for this and then pay 5. And then, so for 6, or that'd be 7, do 8 damage. Maybe. There may be some interesting things that you could do with Teach by Example. So I'm putting a strong, it's plausible. This is getting a plausible, maybe, Teach by Example. Next up is Enigma Drake. It is 1 colorless, 1 blue, 1 red creature Drake. It is a star power and 4 toughness. It's flying, and Enigma Drake's power is equal to the number of instant and sorcery cards in your graveyard. Like I said, there's some really interesting things you could do. I think potentially there's an is it play here for a competitive deck, and this could potentially make it in there. Ovika Enigma Goliath. Interesting. 5 colorless, 1 blue, 1 red. Legendary creature, Phyrexian Nightwear. It's a flying 6/6, ward 3, pay 3 life. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, create X/1/1 red Phyrexian Goblin creature tokens, where X is the mana value of that spell. They gain haste until end of turn. This would be a great commander. This would be fun. This would be fun in commander and just in general. But I don't think we're going to see standard play out of this one. Next up is Deadly Brew. 1 black, 1 green. Each player sacrifices a creature or a planeswalker of their choice. If you sacrifice a permanent this way, you may return another permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. I think potentially you could see some play in a Golgari deck, getting something back into your hand. Return another permanent card. So you could definitely pull in anything, right? It doesn't just have to be a creature. So I definitely think this is going to see some play. Next up is Maelstrom Pulse. 1 colorless, 1 black, 1 green. Sorcery, destroy target non-land permanent and all other permanents with the same name as that permanent. Maybe. It's an interesting removal. This is a plausible maybe. Next up is Boros Charm. 1 red, 1 white. It's choose 1. Deal 4 damage to a target player or planeswalker. Permanents you control gain indestructible until end of turn. Target creature gains double strike until end of turn. This is a great commander card. We do see it in a lot of like precons and things like that. I don't know if we're going to see this in standard. I don't think we will, but it's nice, but I don't think we will. Aurelia, the Ward Leader, is 2 colorless, 2 red, 2 white, legendary creature, angel, 3/4, flying, vigilance, and haste. And then when Aurelia attacks for the first time each turn, untap all creatures you control after this phase. There's an additional combat phase. Super expensive, but would be a ton of fun as a commander, especially in like an angel deck. And but the crappy part is you need to have some way to protect this thing, because if it dies next time you try to play it, the thing is going to cost you 8 mana to get back out. Could be just fun to have in an angel deck in general, but I don't think you're going to see this in standard. Next up is the Trigon Predator. Okay, it looks like a weird horse with a stingray. Anyways, is a 1 colorless, 1 green, 1 blue creature beast, 2/3 flying. When this creature deals combat damage to a player, you may destroy target artifact enchantment that player controls. This would be a stellar commander card, but we're not going to see it in standard. Prime Speaker Zagana. 2 colorless, 2 green, 2 blue, legendary creature, merfolk wizard. It's a 1/1. When Prime Speaker Zagana enters with X/1/1 counters on it, where X is the greatest power among other creatures you control. When Prime Speaker Zagana enters, draw cards equal to its power. This is great commander card. Put this out there. You have some green stompy, big, Gigantosaurus out there. This is going to come out as an 11/11, and then you get to draw 10 or 11 cards. Like, it's sweet commander card. Like, play it in commander. And that, my friends, will bring us to the end of Multicolor. If you've made it this far in the video, you might as well do the thing. Like, subscribe, follow along on this journey as this guy tries to live out his dream and qualify for the Pro Tour in the next 5 years. That's what this channel is all about, documenting that journey, learning, getting better, and creating content along the way to show you what it's like to learn the game and go deeper and wider in this crazy game called Magic the Gathering. I really appreciate you hanging out with us today, and go check out the rest of the videos if you haven't. If you jumped in at the Multicolor, weird, but that's cool. Go check out all the other colors. We have one more left to film. We're going to cover the colorless and the lands in the direct-to-standard / direct-to-constructed set in Foundation. So until next time, we'll catch y'all at the table.